Assalamu alaikum, family. In the most holy name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful God, I bear witness there is but one God whose proper name is Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. We're forever thankful to Allah for his intervention in our affairs by coming to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and Mahdi of the Muslims. We thank him for his wise and divine choice by raising from among us a divine messenger whom we see today as the Messiah, the exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We would be remiss in our duties if we didn't thank Allah over and over again for not leaving us comfortless in the absence of the honorable Elijah Muhammad, but giving us one who could comfort us in a time of trouble, as the scripture says, like there's never been a time before. We thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's in those three great names I'd like to greet you, brothers and sisters, in the nation's greetings of peace and paradise. We say in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam, sir. How's everyone? Fine, sir. All praises are due to Allah, and find myself striving hard to make my word bond, fighting for Islam, because I know we will surely win. We are taught in our lessons of supreme wisdom. The question is asked by the teacher of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Have you not learned that your word shall be bond, regardless to whom or what? And at that time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad answered, and he was only 3 years old in the teaching, after being studied under his teacher, who was a master, for 3.5 years. And he said, yes, my word is bond, and bond is life. And I will give my life before my word shall fail. We have a prayer we say, surely I turn myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death is all for Allah, Lord of all the worlds. Now when we say that prayer, it's meaningful to everybody in different ways. Right. But for those of us that are coming under the teachings of the Mahdi, come on. For those of us who are coming under the teachings of that one that was promised to come at the end of the devil's rule, God in person, then it's different for us, because our word is our bond, and bond is life. So as we get ready to go into the subject matter, how do we look at word as being bond and bond being life? It's all a matter of where we're at in our understanding of the lessons, or where we're at in our understanding of Allah, where we're at in our understanding of knowledge of self in comparison to ourselves. Because to have knowledge of self is one thing, because now you know God, right? You know the origination of self, you know the essence of self, but then compare it to the lifestyle you've been living. And then there's a process that has to go, we have to go through to get to where we originally belong. We can't have knowledge of self and don't go through no process. God wouldn't bring that knowledge and not make a way for us to get to where we belong. We can't do this on our own. There has to be a structure. There has to be an agenda. God comes with a structure. God comes with an agenda. That agenda is not going to be found in the education of this world. That structure is not going to be found in the making of this world, because this is Yaqub's world. This was set up by devils. At the foundation of it is lying, stealing, and murder. You go everywhere that the white man has been. There's been lying, stealing, and murder, and a system of tricks and lies. Now this is I'm just speaking straight to those who study supreme wisdom right now. Those who say they got knowledge of self, those who say they doing it. By what foundation are you building yourself up? Because you can't do this by yourself. There has to be a structure. There has to be a law. There has to be rules and regulations. So in our teaching, we are asked, why isn't the devil settled on the best part of the planet Earth? The earth belongs to the original black man. And knowing that the devil was wicked, he put him out in the worst part and kept the best part preserved for himself. Now we ain't talking about Arabian Saudi America, because all them devils over there going to die. That's right. Let it apply where it applies. Come on now. But that's on the surface of it. Remember, we're dealing with a God that came to us, that found us deaf, dumb, and blind, turned inside out and upside down. 310 years of chattel slavery turned us inside out and upside down, brothers and sisters. 100 years of Jim Crow laws and sharecropping of our ancestors turned us inside out and upside down. 62 years of lying politicians, boot-licking, Uncle Tom, handkerchief-head Negroes turned us inside out and upside down. So if God comes and he knows he's already studied our condition and found us in that way, then he has to teach us like children. So he gives us pictorial stories in supreme wisdom, but underneath the picture is deeper knowledge. This is why we're thankful to Allah for Minister Farrakhan. Because no one, all praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. No one before him that I know of raised the question to the supreme wisdom lessons, why did God ask why? Everybody's studying the answer, which we should. But what about the person that's asking the question?
Come on.
Why did he ask the question? The best part of the planet Earth is your brain.
Come on.
Because it's from the brain of Allah that the sun was created. It's from the brain of Allah that the moon was created. It's from the brain of Allah that the earth was created. It's from the brain of Allah that color was given to planets. It's from the brain of Allah that we have eyes, nose, head, arm, leg, arm. It's from the brain of Allah.
That's true.
And when we look at ourselves, we're looking at the mind that was produced from Allah's brain. So why isn't the devil settled on the best part of the planet Earth? And what does that have to do with, have you not learned that your word shall be bond regardless to whom or what? Because to challenge ourselves with this knowledge means that we remove devilishment from our thought process. And to remove devilishment from our thought process, then our word got to be bond every day, according to what we got in supreme wisdom. Y'all all right? Because I don't mean to, change the spirit of anybody, but I'm just bearing witness to the wisdom of supreme wisdom. All praises due to Allah. So our prayer, our sacrifice, our life, and our death is all for Allah. But not Allah in some spooky sense, not Allah in some ethereal sense. We talking about Allah in the person of a man. And some people will say, because we believe like that, that they are Muslims, but they don't see us as Muslims. Some people will say, because we believe like that, I don't see you as my brother. I will not pray with you. Go to hell. I really don't give a doggone whether you pray with me, see me as your brother. Allah, at the end of it all, at the end of it all, Allah will judge all of that. But if I'm with a man that bears witness that God is a man and he's kicking the devil all up in his backside so much that the fecal matter's on the edge of his shoe, and you with a man that believes in a mystery God and ain't making no progress, bro, you better get with this clean glass. That's what you better do. But brothers and sisters, after Master Father Muhammad asked that question and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad answered it, the next question is, what is the meaning of FOI? Now, how do you go from asking a question, have you not learned that your word shall be bond regardless to whom or what, and then ask, what's the meaning of FOI? What's the correlation? Because once you come into this kind of knowledge and this kind of discipline, you got to come into the ranks of God. You got to get into some military formation. FOI, the fruit of Islam. The name given to the military training of the men that belong to Islam in North America. What are we talking about military? We talking tactics. We talking maneuvers. We talking about an army. We ain't talking about no punk stuff. We talking about an army. That means all the game that we had, all that we learned from hustling and everything, all of that jive stuff. When you come to the door of Muhammad, all that got to go. We don't want nothing but that black man and that black woman that came through the fire. Keep the fire lit, but don't bring no game up in here. This scares some of us. But it ain't nothing to be scared of, because why should you be afraid of yourself? The Mahdi, Allah said, his teaching can be summed up in 6 words. Accept your own and be yourself. Why you don't want to accept yourself? Why you don't want to accept your own and be yourself? What's stopping you and I from coming on into the ranks of Islam and fighting against the negativity of self, our family, our communities, and then beating the hell out of this beast? Because the devil taught us to eat the wrong food.
Come on.
Devil put fear in us when we was babies.
Come on.
Why do we fear now that we're a grown man?
Come on.
See, you know, brothers and sisters, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of it, the God knew exactly what our condition was and what our response would be and why. This isn't for everybody. I'm talking about ranks of the Nation of Islam. But it's the vanguard to save everybody. Meaning what? Only 144,000 is prophesied to make it through. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, because of this sad prophecy is why I write what I write. Because he said we will beat that prophecy of those prophets. Those prophets. Now let me just say this. I mean, look, it's dependent on where you at in studying. Come on. Because sometimes people say, brother, you're bringing too much out. No. It's needed. We know who made Bible and Holy Quran. This ain't something that came from somebody else. Our ancestors did this. Our ancestors of the gods, of the 24 scientists that pass knowledge from father to son. Some look at them as the 12 imams or the 12 elders or the 24 elders. We call them gods. But they predicted everything in these books 15,000 years in advance. And I know someone say, no, it was 25,000 years. The 25,000 years isn't up yet.
There you go. There you go.
They couldn't see past the end of the devil's rule. You don't find nothing in the Holy Quran or the Bible that gives you knowledge of what's going to happen after the devil is gone. Because those scientists couldn't see that far. Because at the end of the devil's rule, God comes and he comes with a light that's likened unto the light of the Creator in the beginning. They couldn't see through that light. Master Fard Muhammad inherited that wisdom, that knowledge, that power, that willpower. And you and I are the ones that he chose to give that to. Why you wouldn't want to be down with this? Now, I don't know any throughout the past 6,000 years, brothers and sisters, when you read through all of the history of what has happened to different civilizations, you don't ever read about any of those civilizations and the people who suffered in those civilizations being saved by politics. You don't read them being saved by the education of that world. It's always a man of God that stands up and gives the solution to get those people out of that condition. Why are we rejecting that?
Man.
Where else you want to look?
Oh my goodness.
So when we start talking about the time and what must be done, we ain't dealing with ordinary time as it pertains to the clock on the wall or the Gregorian calendar or even the lunar calendar. We dealing with a calendar that is of the originator, that deals with the circumference of this planet, 24,896 miles in circumference, approximately 25,000 miles a year to every mile. And so the cycle of time goes every 25,000 years. They say, well, the Mayans say every 20. I ain't no Mayan. Ain't no Mayan come and give me supreme wisdom. I ain't against what they're saying, but they didn't teach me. I was taught by one that met another one that met God. And that's what I go by. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. So when we say that we're striving to make our word bond, it's much deeper than just those words, brother. For me. Because that's how I look at it.
Come on.
Each and every day, since getting this knowledge, I'm in a fight. Within and without.
Very good.
Because Allah is judging the day. And whether we understand it or not, judgment, as the minister teaches us, or rather justice. It wakes up with you when you wake up, and it goes to sleep with you when you go to sleep. And justice is something that is the order of the day. Why is it the order of the day today? Because of the time we're in. We're in the time of the end of devil's rule. The end of wickedness ruling. And when we say the devil, end of the devil's rule, we ain't just talking about white people. Because that man has supplanted his mind in many of our people. And those of us that say we got knowledge of self, if we're not careful, that man's mind will come up in our thoughts. And before you know it, you off the path that you thought you was on. And then start justifying it or feeling so bad about yourself. If your self-esteem isn't proper, you might just give up on the wisdom you got and change it to something else. Now you got some of us that are wicked as hell, man.
Say it again.
I mean, really. Because stuff that I see from time to time, I don't understand. If you don't like the teachings of what Allah gave to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then leave it alone. Don't change the supreme wisdom. How you going to change the lessons? I mean, actually just change the questions and put other words in, because you don't want to recognize Master Fard Muhammad. You don't want to recognize the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So you want to make it fit to what you want it to fit to. Yo, excuse me. Devil is made through graftation. And grafting is when you take from the original. So you're going to take from the original language and change it to make it fit what you want it to fit, because you don't want to recognize Allah in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. You don't want to recognize the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Well, that makes you an enemy to us.
That's right. That's right. Here we go.